Sarah stood at the gates of Redwood High, her new school. The ivy-covered walls and tall trees gave it an eerie, almost ancient look. Despite her excitement to start fresh after moving, something about the school seemed off. She brushed it off as nerves, eager to meet her classmates and begin the year. The bell rang, and Sarah entered her new classroom. The students were all quiet, their eyes lingering on her as she took her seat. Mrs. Thompson, the teacher, gave a welcoming smile that seemed a bit too wide. "We don't get many new faces around here," she said, her voice soft but unsettling. As Sarah walked to her next class, she began to hear soft whispers behind her. Turning, she saw no one, but the murmurs grew louder. "Don't trust them," one voice warned. "It's already too late," another murmured. A chill ran down her spine. At lunch, Sarah sat alone outside when a strange girl approached. Her pale face and black hair contrasted with the bright sun. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the bustling lunch crowd. Before Sarah could respond, the girl vanished into the crowd without a trace. The next day, Sarah discovered a door at the end of the hallway that was always locked. It had an old, rusted keyhole that beckoned her curiosity. No one seemed to know what was behind it, and the more she asked, the more people grew uncomfortable. Some told her to leave it alone, others warned her to never try to open it. That night, Sarah had a strange dream. She was back at the locked door, but this time it opened by itself, revealing a pitch-black room. As she stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her, trapping her in total darkness. The whispers from earlier returned, this time louder and closer. The next morning, Sarah learned that a student named Emily had gone missing the night before. She was last seen near the hallway with the locked door. The whole school seemed on edge, and whispers about strange occurrences at Redwood High began to circulate. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something dark was at play. Sarah began noticing a strange presence lurking in the corners of her vision. In the classroom, at the library, and even in the hallways, she felt as though someone was always watching. It was unsettling, like invisible eyes were following her every move. But when she turned to look, there was never anyone there. One evening, while researching her school's history, Sarah stumbled upon an old yearbook in the library. The faces of the students stared back at her, but something was wrong. One of the students, a girl named Clara, had her face scratched out in every photo. An ominous note written under her name read, "Never forget the price of curiosity." Sarah began to dig deeper into the mystery of Clara, discovering that she had been a student at Redwood High over 50 years ago. Rumors said that she had disappeared after trying to unlock the door Sarah had been curious about. As Sarah connected the dots, a terrible realization dawned on her. Clara's fate might be tied to the strange events unfolding now. In a late-night search, Sarah discovered something hidden behind a loose brick in the wall near the locked door. A narrow passageway led deep under the school, filled with damp air and the sound of dripping water. It was as if the school had a dark underbelly, a place that had been forgotten or deliberately hidden. As Sarah ventured further into the underground passage, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned, but no one was there. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Her heart raced as she quickened her pace, the echo of steps mimicking her every move. At the end of the passage, Sarah discovered a room filled with old, rotting furniture. It was covered in dust, but the air felt charged, as though it had been untouched for years. The walls were adorned with strange symbols, and in the center of the room, an old wooden chest sat untouched for decades. A strange energy pulsed from it. Sarah opened the chest, revealing a book bound in what seemed like human skin. The pages were filled with cryptic writings and dark rituals. As she flipped through it, she realized that Clara had been part of a forbidden ritual. The students who had disappeared over the years were sacrifices meant to keep the school and its horrors alive. Suddenly, the room grew colder. Shadows in the corners of the room began to shift and stretch, moving with a life of their own. A figure materialized before Sarah, its face hidden in shadow. It was Clara, but her face was twisted, her eyes black voids of terror. Clara's voice echoed in Sarah's mind. You shouldn't have opened the book. The shadows lunged toward Sarah, their forms liquid and dark, attempting to envelop her. As they touched her skin, a sharp, searing pain shot through her, as though her very soul was being torn apart. With every ounce of strength, Sarah ran toward the passage's exit, the shadows chasing her. The walls seemed to close in around her, and the whispers returned, louder than ever. She could feel the cold breath of the entity on her neck, but somehow, she burst through the door and back into the school's hallway. Once safe in her classroom, Sarah tried to regain her composure, but the shadows followed her. They appeared in the corners of her vision, growing stronger with each passing hour. No one else seemed to notice, but she could feel their eyes upon her, lurking in the school's very walls. Desperate to understand, Sarah spoke to a longtime teacher who revealed the truth. Curiosity has a cost at Redwood High. The door, the book, it's all part of the price. The teacher explained that every few decades, someone would inevitably seek the truth, and when they did, the shadows would rise again. Only by offering another sacrifice could the curse be contained. Sarah realized she couldn't escape the horrors of Redwood High without facing the consequences. She had to decide whether to confront the curse head-on or become another lost soul. The shadows had already started to take hold of her classmates, their eyes hollow, their faces drained of color. It was only a matter of time before they came for her too. That night, Sarah ventured back into the hidden passage, the book clutched in her hands. She knew what had to be done. To stop the darkness from consuming the school, someone had to take the place of the missing. As she began the ritual, the shadows grew restless, swirling faster, and Clara's voice echoed one last time, urging Sarah to make the ultimate sacrifice. The next day, the school was calm. The shadows had receded, and life seemed to return to normal. But as Sarah walked through the halls, she noticed something chilling. The faces of her classmates had changed. Their eyes were vacant, and their smiles were hollow. She had stopped the curse, but at what cost? Redwood High was no longer the same, and neither was she. Thanks for watching, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for more new videos.